Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, September 7th here from the FSU Weather Studios. I'm student meteorologist Matt Reagan.
And I'm meteorologist Jake Karstens. And we woke up this morning, probably one of the cooler mornings we've had here since the spring. Cold front came through yesterday, and it was just a gorgeous, gorgeous day around Tallahassee.
Yeah, it was really nice out there, but unfortunately, it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, Hurricane Irma, we've been tracking it all week here as it begins its march through the Turks and Caicos Islands, Bahamas, in direct impact or the direct path of Irma, and we're also looking at potential impacts in South Florida as early as this weekend. We're going to have plenty more about that later on in tonight's show.
Yeah, we will, and we'll try to keep it a little bit upbeat this first desk to invite you into the studio because we've got a ton of information for you today. But right now we're sending it out to the wall. Ariana with an overview.
Thank you, Matt and Jake. Now let's look at yesterday's weather stem. As you could see, there were clouds moving in yesterday. You may have felt that rain if you were outside in the mid-afternoon, late evening, but today it was great. Don't need to worry about that. So today the high was 82. It was feeling amazing outside. Thank goodness it was not the record, 98. That would not have been feeling great. I hope you enjoyed the cooler temperatures than normal. We have a low of 66, not bad. And we can see the satellite radar. We had a little bit of cloud coverage today, but not bad. It was mostly sunny. Unlike yesterday, it was feeling good, not a lot of clouds. In tonight's forecast, we have 65 degrees. You may need a sweater if you're going out, but it's going to be feeling great. Light cloud coverage, calm night, winds 5 miles an hour. And throughout the show, we'll have a nice home game opener and cooler mornings next week, and we'll also be keeping you in track with Irma. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot, Ariana. Of course, we wanted to focus on that last point, Irma's potential impacts on Florida. And what I'm going to be introducing here is a report that I put together last week. We're just about 1 year removed from Hurricane Hermine's impact in Tallahassee. It made landfall September 2nd. 2016, 1:30 a.m., just east of St. Mark, so really close to home here. We had wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour from times across the city. You'll see more of the details about the actual storm itself, but really the idea that we wanted to get across here is that was a Category 1 hurricane. Irma is a Category 5. It's really packing a punch, and some of these impacts could be very significant to those viewers out there in South Florida. If you haven't made any kinds of preparations yet, you need to immediately, and this video is going to show you just how powerful a hurricane can be, so take a look.
Starting as a wave off of Africa on August 16th, Invest 99L moved thousands of miles westward over the remainder of August, producing plenty of thunderstorms but lacking the organization and circulation necessary to be considered a tropical cyclone. Conditions began to favor its development near Cuba and the Florida Keys nearly 2 weeks later, forming Tropical Depression 9 on August 28th.
You know, a typical textbook setup, at least when it comes to water temperatures. We were well into August, and at the beginning of September, we had some sea surface temperatures and the 90-degree reading Fahrenheit, of course, in the Gulf. And so when you get that moist water and that warm, moist water, it really fuels whatever disturbances flow into the Gulf of Mexico. And we had sea surface temperatures near right off the coast of Tallahassee at 86 degrees. And so when you get that, the shear started to decrease, which then allowed Hermine, or what would become Hermine, to intensify into a Cat 1 storm.
Hermine made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane at the Wakulla-Jefferson line at 1:30 a.m. on Friday, September 2nd, the first Florida hurricane landfall in 11 years. Power outages began across the Big Bend after sunset, with the FSU campus losing power shortly before midnight, with the FSU Weather STEM unit measuring a 64-mile-per-hour peak wind gust. Over 250,000 people lost power in the state, including 65% of Tallahassee. We brought a couple of FSU students into our studio to discuss how they prepared and how they responded to the hurricane.
Being someone who's from New Orleans, I kind of grew up realizing that something that seems like it's not going to be a big deal could end up being a very large one in the end. So I went out and I prepared. I bought some canned goods and water bottles.
Long term, I think I was out of power for a week and had no AC. All I had was running water for a bit and had to go to Georgia just because I couldn't stand the heat in my apartment anymore.
I got really, really lucky and my power did not go out. I still had running water. Everything was perfectly fine. So instead of, having to take care of anything that was wrong with my home, I brought in a lot of friends.
FSU Weather began its coverage of Hermine at the start of the week. 13 of our meteorologists and student meteorologists came to the studio to provide updates of Hermine over the final 8 hours before its arrival, including wall-to-wall live streams, interactive Q&A sessions, and an insightful interview with FSU graduate student and creator of TropicalTidbits.com, Levi Cowan.
Most of us have spent a couple years down here seeing all the stories on the wall, including about Hurricane Earl coverage, and we're like, this is our moment to have something similar to that. And so we took the opportunity, we planned how to keep people safe as they came and went from the studio. We had a curfew at which point in time people couldn't come or go from the studio. They were to shelter in place by then so that everyone stayed safe. And then once the university put out official word that we were going to be closing for Hermine, then we really sprung into action with gathering up supplies, getting ready to hunker down in the studio.
Total wind and water damage estimates totaled around $550 million, with 1,600 homes and businesses in Florida being deemed uninhabitable, despite the fairly common euphemism that Hermine was only a Category 1 storm. Fortunately, despite the major threat of coastal storm surge, our region experienced no casualties, and most of Tallahassee was back up and running in the preceding 3 to 5 days, in large part thanks to state and local emergency managers and relief efforts. FSU was closed for 5 days, from Friday, September 2nd through Tuesday, September 6th. The power was restored to campus roughly 36 hours after it was lost. North Florida is a region that thankfully doesn't see a whole lot of tropical activity, but as Hermine showed us, all it takes is one to be life-changing. As all of us here at FSU Weather plan to exemplify in our careers, there's a large community out there learning and working hard to keep you safe and unconquered when dangerous weather strikes. For FSU Weather, I'm meteorologist Jake Karstens.
Thank you, Jake, for a look on last year's Hurricane Hermine. But now we're going to take a look at what it is currently in Tallahassee. We are sitting around 82 degrees with a dew point of 61 degrees and humidity around 49%. And we'll take a better look at that soon. Our wind is coming out of the north at 7 miles per hour. And currently around the Tallahassee Bend, it is 82 in Tallahassee, 79 in Monticello, and 83 over in St. Mark's, and 83 in Apalachicola as well. Our relative humidity is 49%, which is much lower than what it has been throughout the summer. 46 in St. Mark's, and Apalachicola, it is 57. But make sure you take a look at Mariana, is 37%. That is quite a difference from Perry being 55. Our 24-hour dew point change, minus 15 degrees, which is much cooler than what we have been experiencing. It's minus 8 in Apalachicola and as well as Perry. The satellite and radar is showing that front that just passed us through. We had some cloud cover throughout the day, but it was mainly clear in our area. Once again, you could see that front that just dissipated over our area. And we have a high pressure system that is the result of the clear weather we will be experiencing for the next few days. Our radar is showing just a little bit of cloud cover, but not much that will be happening throughout the next few days to come. Our boating forecast showing a few waves 2 to 3 feet, which is quite choppy, but that is due to Irma's approach, increasing those waves. Sunrise 7:18 and sunset at 7:51 for tomorrow. And on the beach, that surf will be 2 to 3 feet as well. Tonight we will be cooling down to 83 degrees right now, and around 10 p.m. it'll go down to 74, 71 around midnight. It will be very clear out for the remainder of the night though. Our Friday's outlook is going to be 89 degrees, another warm day. And our 5-day forecast, we will be seeing some cloud cover, but it will be mainly clear for the next few days up until Irma approaches us. But now we're going to take it out to Matt Art
Thank you very much, Sammy. We are doing a full overview of the tropics right now. It's going to be a long one, so hang with us, folks. We'll break everything down for you. Let's start off with a broad overview because this is something that we haven't seen in many years, and that is 3 simultaneous hurricanes, 2 of which are major, 1 of which could make it there. If it gets a little bit more time over this warm water, it could very well make it there. But right now we have Katia in the Bay of Campeche. We have Irma, of course. We will talk about that more in just a second. And Jose, I want to mention something about Jose. Jose actually has hurricane watches prompted for the Leeward Islands, and they just got hit by Irma. So this is something that is unfathomable for the Leeward Islands. They are in our thoughts right now. Very devastating information coming out of there from Irma, and now they've got another hurricane, a major hurricane, on the heels. So let's talk about Irma just a little bit. We'll show you the cone, and then we'll break it down for you right now. Of course, this is as of 5 p.m. This is the latest advisory. Brings the center of Irma up and into the peninsula of Florida. We are beginning to get very confident in this type of track, a track in which Florida will be getting hurricane conditions on Sunday into Monday as it starts to lift out. Right now, hurricane watch is posted for the entire southern part of the peninsula, including Lake Okeechobee, as well as storm surge watches, and we'll get there in just a moment as well. We do expect it to take this northerly turn on during the day Saturday. Saturday will be the day in which we are going to be looking for that turn, and depending on where that happens, will show us exactly whether or not this is going to be an East Coast rider right up the state, or maybe even favor a little bit more of the West Coast. And I'll explain to you why in just a second, why we think that this could be kind of a center state type of issue as well, maybe even a little bit more to the West Coast. Here's Irma right now, churning away a major Category 5, 175 mile per hour winds, pressure 919. So this is a massive storm, and we'll show you just how massive in just a second. Let's break down the risks and the track. Our European ensemble, the European model, is usually the one that we look to for a reliable forecast. We look towards all of them to create the cone, but this is the ensemble member. So all of the European is tweaked a little bit, 50-something times, and we get different outputs. Right now, they're starting to come into pretty good agreement that Florida is the target. We have a couple that still come east of Florida, some that even come west towards our area. However, we're looking towards this concentrated area down the center of the state, and this could be catastrophic for the state of Florida. Timing-wise, Saturday morning is when things will really start to go downhill for South Florida, Saturday evening for Central, as well as Sunday morning for parts of northern Florida. Here we can start to see some gusts as well to tropical storm force. Rainfall, going to be another issue. We're going to be seeing areas 15 to isolated 20 inches of rain even on the east coast of Florida. Depending on exactly where the center goes, this could raise and lower. Usually towards the eastern side, the northeastern quadrant, we see the area of rain maximum, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. The storm would come kind of towards the center of the state like this. This is where the Hurricane Center currently has their track, and off to the east is where they're thinking that convection, that heavy rain, is going to be situated. Now, like I said, if this is just a little bit farther west, we have to wait and see where that turn is. We could see quite a bit of more rain in the Everglades and then the metros of southeast Florida, and this also puts the core of the strongest winds over areas like Naples and Fort Myers on the west coast, traveling up northward. So rain is definitely a threat. The wind is a huge threat. This is a Category 5 storm right now, likely to make landfall as a strong Category 4. Storm surge, another major threat. Storm surge watches up now from the coast near West Palm Beach all the way down and around the state, and this means that a dangerous inundation is possible within 36 hours. We're looking at storm surge values near 10 plus feet in some of the areas in Miami. We're also seeing higher than normal tide because of the full moon. So areas of Miami Beach, even up into Fort Lauderdale, watching it very closely for some catastrophic storm surge damage. And then one more thing we wanted to do is do a little size comparison. This is Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew was a strong Category 5 hurricane that leveled parts of South Florida. This is Hurricane Irma. You can put several Hurricane Andrews inside of Hurricane Irma. Now, we are unsure of the intensity and the exact track at this moment, but we do think that it will come very dangerously close to Florida or make landfall in Florida. This is a very dangerous storm, and we encourage you to stick with us, stick with your local officials and the National Weather Service and the Hurricane Center for more information. Now we're going to go send it back to Jake for a national.
All right, thank you, Matt. We're going to dive even farther into Hurricane Irma as well as the other two active hurricanes in the Atlantic. But for now, we're going to focus on the lower 48 here in the United States. You still see some of these cooler temperatures up in the northern Great Lakes, pushing into parts of New England as well. 56 degrees currently in Detroit. A strong ridging pattern across the southwest, so plenty of sunshine, hot temperatures, 90s, even some triple digits in parts of Arizona and southeastern California as well. A little bit warmer across the middle of the country. Again, what we've been seeing here is the Gulf of Mexico area has been kind of sandwiched in between these two ridges. You tend to have much warmer temperatures there, as well as having that cold front come through in the last couple of days. There's been a bit of a temperature rebound in some of the central and northern plains. So we're about 10 degrees warmer than we were at this point yesterday in the Dakotas, parts of Minnesota. So very, very dry air associated with these ridges as well. So you see a lot of that dry heat out there. Texas, humidity in the 20s percentage-wise, 17% Albuquerque, 13% in Denver. And really, the higher humidities are where you're going to be seeing the most active weather across much of the country. Detroit at 93% currently. The water vapor really showing you a pretty similar picture. This is at the upper levels. You see this pocket of really dry air that's situated over the Sun Belt right now. So plenty of sunshine, of course, that we've been seeing in Tallahassee today. Also expanding all the way across into central Texas, a little bit north of the Austin, San Antonio area. A little bit of vapor at the upper levels here in parts of New Mexico, but nothing producing any kind of big-time thunderstorm activity. High pressure, again, dominant over the middle of the country, situated in eastern Oklahoma currently, and we had that cold front move by us here. This low currently over Vermont and New Hampshire, stretching all the way down and beginning to stall out over central Florida here, as well as the northern Gulf of Mexico. Let's zoom into some of that rainfall here. You see that low pressure system that's currently over New England, spinning that counterclockwise rotation, driving some of these showers and thunderstorms. Starting to go towards the Atlantic Ocean. You'll see some rain in the Boston area in a couple of hours or so. We actually had some severe weather over the last couple of days in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, to name a few states. Not really too much going on severe-wise now over there, but plenty of these wildfire supporting conditions. Red flag warnings in Montana, Utah, Oregon, Idaho. Of course, we're seeing all the warnings from Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Katia down here in southern Texas, or just south of Texas. And then flood warnings as of course, southeastern Texas and Louisiana still are recovering from the devastating effects of Hurricane Harvey. So where you see the ridging, plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Of course, hydration, sunscreen, all necessary. We're expecting a UV index of 9 for San Antonio, as well as Dallas and Albuquerque. For tonight's forecast, cooler temperatures in the same spots we've been seeing them lately. 50 degrees in Detroit, 64 here in Tallahassee, so another cool and pretty comfortable night out there. And plenty of sunshine across the really the eastern two-thirds of the country. 86 degrees in Dallas, 69 in Minneapolis, loving that up there. Bright and sunny. But for now, we're going to go back to Ariana and Sammy over at the desk.
Thank you, Jake. We are actually going to take a look at what you may need in an emergency kit.
Some things you may need, keep in mind that you may need a first aid kit. If you are affected by Irma, keep a first aid kit, and something good to keep in that kit, flashlight, extra batteries for the flashlight. That would be good in case of power outage.
Yeah, especially within these next few days, make sure you keep 1 gallon of water per day, per person.
That is the recommended amount to drink every day for a person. So drink a gallon of water a day, it's recommended. And don't forget, eat 3 meals a day. Keep 3 non-perishable meals in your house, or keep non-perishable food in your house just in case, more than 3, like in case you're stuck there. And a good tip for that is to have a can opener too.
Yeah, definitely keep some canned foods available. Another few items to keep in mind also, local maps, a whistle just in case to signal for help.
You can never be too careful in these situations. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but some of these things are very important, and it's very important to keep them in your house. But
yeah.
You also may need a dust mask in case fallen things in your house.
Contaminated air.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Moist towelettes to
clean yourself off. Always good. Now we'll take it back to Jake.
All right, Sammy and Ariana, thank you very much. We're going to talk one more time about everything going on in the tropics. Of course, one of the more active times we've had in recent history, with 3 currently active hurricanes out here, including 2 majors. Irma, of course, Category 5. Jose just became a major hurricane at the 5 p.m. advisory up to a Category 3 storm. And Katia in the Bay of Campeche, currently a Category 1 and strengthening. The climatology for September, you have a lot of these easterly waves coming off of Africa. This is where Irma and Jose both developed from, eventually moving sometimes into the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf of Mexico. And obviously the scenario we were hoping to see with these storms is the recurve off to the northeast into the open Atlantic waters. But that's not really going to be happening with any of these storms. Katia being the anomaly here, is it's expected to kind of do this looping pattern and go into eastern Mexico. So let's look at the Saffir-Simpson scale with Irma. 155 miles per hour or greater is the threshold for Category 5 here, actually 156 miles per hour. Irma currently at sustained winds of 175, so it is an absolute beast of a storm. We can see storm surge up to 20 feet, potentially even more in some parts of South Florida in the next couple of days. Obviously a big concern for everyone involved here. Here's the satellite. You see all 3 of them. Jose, Irma, and Katia in the Bay of Campeche. You're really starting to see Jose getting better and better organized, looking like sort of a miniature version of Irma, although we're not expecting it to reach that catastrophic intensity necessarily. Also starting to look at some waves coming off of Africa. The next name on the list would be Lee if this were to develop. Obviously not the primary concern as of now because it poses no real immediate threat to land, but something to keep our eye on in the next the next week or so. Here's Irma. The eye is currently over the Dominican Republic now, beginning to move towards the Turks and Caicos Islands, as well as the southeastern Bahamas. Expected to stay north of Cuba, so avoid some of those mountainous regions. And not too much weakening is expected with that. Here's the infrared satellite showing you just that incredible eye structure with this. Some convective bursts still happening on the northern side of the storm. So we've had some modest weakening today, but it's really not showing any signs of slowing down too much. Here's Katia out here in the Bay of Campeche. Rather stationary. It's a Category 1 hurricane, and it's expected to sort of drift in this area for the next day or 2, and then begin a southwesterly march towards Mexico before turning back into a tropical depression. And here is the satellite view of Katia. Let's go to the Hurricane Irma cone here, showing this track that's really not looking too good for Florida. Hurricane watches are out now, so we're expecting hurricane conditions in South Florida over the next 72 hours, and of course the Leeward Islands not really looking too good with Jose. Hurricane watches out for the northern Leewards, as well as the U.S. Virgin Islands. Are going to need to keep another eye on that after Irma's devastation. But now we're going to take it back to Sammy and Matt over at the desk.
Thank you very much, Jake. We're here to talk to you about water, and that has been a hot commodity here in Tallahassee and across the state.
Yeah, a few water tips to keep in mind. Make sure you have 1 gallon of water per day, and that's not only for drinking, but for sanitation purposes as well.
Yeah, and that's for 3 days, so have 3 days worth of water, like you said, for sanitation. I mean, brushing your teeth, you're going to need that water as well. And there's different tips that we can also for cleaning water, you know, if you're under a boil water watch.
Yeah, make sure you have clean buckets or anything that will be clean to store your water in if there is not bottled water available to you. Also, make sure you have clean water for your toilets and cooking as well.
Yeah, and then one tip that actually worked out for me back in Hurricane Wilma was propane grills. You can take a pan or a pot, and you can boil water on the propane grill. As long as you store the grill away so it isn't blown away during the storm, you can use that to boil water to clean it. And even swimming pools to flush your toilets if you have a bucket and your water's out.
And that is, if the electricity is out as well. Now we are going to take it back to see the local.
Thanks, Sammy and Matt. Here we have the high and low temperatures for today. Today we hit 82. It was feeling pretty good outside, and the low for 66. It's going to be a nice night. Nothing like the record highs and lows. That is hot. We're feeling good today. I hope you enjoy the nice weather today. Right now we are at 82, mostly cloudy. Dew point at 61. Humidity 49%, not bad compared to yesterday. It was very high yesterday. We have a few 7-mile-per-hour winds in the north, coming from the north, but not too bad. Here we have the current temperatures around us. We have St. Mark's below us at 83, close to us at 82 in Tallahassee. Apalachicola all the way down there at 83. And just above us in Thomasville, we have 81. All around the same, not too bad, pretty average. And the dew points, we have Tallahassee at 61. Yesterday, it was a lot higher than this. That's because this cold front came through last night and made the dew points go down. And all above us, Thomasville 55, pretty good, not too bad. So what this means is moderate dew points. This is about average, nothing crazy. Yesterday, it was up here in this scale, which is close to miserable. So it was very humid yesterday, not bad at all. The radar, we have a little bit of cloud coverage, not too bad. Partly cloudy today, mostly sunny. It was a beautiful day. I hope you enjoyed it. Tonight, you may need a sweater. It's going to be about 65 degrees, and that's beautiful. St. Mark's below us also at 65, light winds, but bring a sweater if you are going out. And tomorrow we have a high of 89 degrees. It's going to be a little hotter than today. It's going to be another warm one, though, bringing back the warm temperatures. Down south in Apalachicola, it'll be 86, and then 87 over here. St. Mark's, 88, not too bad. Feeling pretty good, a little bit warmer. Tomorrow in the morning, it's going to be about 67. Clouds will move out towards noon to 80, and then we'll reach our high at 89. So it may be a little more hot than today, but for the week ahead, tomorrow at 89, and then for Saturday, game day, it's going to be 86. Feeling pretty good for our first game day. And then Sunday and Monday, we'll have 30% chance of rain. Not too bad. Monday, we'll have a little bit more cloud coverage, but throughout your week next week, we'll have higher temperatures in the high 80s. Lows will be feeling pretty good. So it's going to be a great week next week. Go out and enjoy the warm temperature. Now let's go back to the desk.
All right, thanks a lot, Ariana. We were, of course, talking about, you were mentioning the football game on Saturday. First thing that we wanted to say here is...
The game did move to 12 p.m., so make sure you are aware of that and friends and family who are coming up here to see the game as well.
Exactly. Going to be a bit of a hot one out there, as we were looking at 86 degrees. You look at that 7-day forecast. But compared to that Charleston Southern game we played at the beginning of last year, this is an absolute cakewalk.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll be nice and clear for the whole day, too. So that'll be good news.
Yeah. As we were talking about that whole calm before the storm, if we're going to be experiencing impacts from Irma, it's looking like Monday is going to be the most likely day to be seeing that. That's why you see those temperatures so low. We're going to be seeing an overcast at the very least from this, potentially some showers, potentially some very strong thunderstorms associated with it. But we are all over social media. We're going to be tracking your local weather as well as Hurricane Irma on our Facebook page, as well as
our Twitter as well. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that, the news as well.
Exactly, and all of our old broadcasts are archived on livestream.com/FSU Weather. Now we are live streaming on YouTube as well. So for all of us here, I'm meteorologist Jay Karstens.
And I'm Sammy Squires. Stay safe.